Welcome to Science Club. I'm Thermite, and today I'm going to be doing some experiments with markers. These experiments are designed to work with washable, water-based markers, not permanent markers. Now that we're clear on that, let's get started. You might already know that by mixing together primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, we get secondary colors, orange, purple, and green. But what colors are mixed together to make the ink in a black marker? This experiment is going to help us find out. Start by cutting a piece of coffee filter big enough to fit on top of a mug. Cut a flap from the edge to the middle of the paper. This will bend down into the cup and soak up water. Use a water-based marker to make an ink spot in the middle of the paper. Pour enough water into the cup so that the paper flap will reach the water. This is what happened over the next 40 minutes. The black ink is actually made up of several different colors. Try this experiment with different colors and brands of markers and see what colors make up the ink. Did you know that you can mix ink together in markers? Here's a marker that's designed for mixing ink. Some of the orange ink has transferred over to the blue. When I write with it, the orange eventually gets used up and the marker will turn back to blue. This works with normal markers as well. The ink will transfer to whichever marker has less ink. When you write with it, you'll start with a line with two colors, and eventually it will turn back to the normal color of that marker. If the marker is still stained when you're done, you can clean it up with a paper towel, but this will use up some of its ink. You can also use old dried out markers like this yellow one to mix colors. You can add more than two colors to the marker. Whichever one you add last will be the first one to come off when you start drawing. Dried up markers usually still have some ink left in them. Sometimes you can reactivate that ink by adding a few drops of water to the back of the marker. Be careful not to add too much, or you'll have a drippy mess. Adding water can make your dried up marker right again, but it's probably not going to be as good as when it was new. If you have lots of dried up markers, you can recycle them into liquid watercolor paint. Start by separating them into similar colors. Take the markers apart. You'll want to keep the felt tips and the ink cartridges from inside the marker. Tools like pliers are helpful for taking markers apart, and a toothpick can be used if any of the ink cartridges are stuck. I like to cut the ink cartridges into shorter pieces so that they'll fit in the container that I'm using. Any plastic pieces that remain after you're done can be recycled. Add some water to the ink cartridges and let them soak for a while. At first, the color won't be very strong. But if you let it soak overnight, the color will get a bit stronger. And those are my experiments for today. Make sure that when you're done, you clean up after yourself. And don't leave anything where your cat can get into it.